Welcome, welcome back to Monday Morning Mom. Apologies, I had a hiccup last week, so I appreciate your grace and patience as we get back on track. And today I got a letter from Sitting on My Hands in Georgia. For those new to the show, my name is Erin. I am a mom of two incredible children who both are athletes in sports and is the driving force behind why I created Blueprint to Blue Chip, which we can talk more about that later in the episode. But what I want to do is create a show where moms of athletes, parents of athletes can write in. For those of you that are my age and can remember Dear Abby, when you could write in the newspaper and she would write back to you. We're doing that same thing, except this is a live show where I respond to you in a video version. So super excited for today's letter. It comes from Sitting on My Hands in Georgia. And it says, Dear Erin, my son is a freshman in high school. He made the varsity basketball team, which was a huge deal. We're so proud. But 3 months into the season, he's barely playing. We're talking 2 or 3 minutes a game, if that. Sometimes he doesn't get in at all. He works hard. He shows up early, stays late. He never complains to the coach, but I watch him on the bench and I can see something in him slowly going out. My husband wants to go talk to the coach. I want to go talk to the coach, but every time I bring it up, someone tells me that's the worst thing a parent can do. So we just sit in the stands and watch our kid disappear into the end of the bench, and we don't say anything. And it feels like we're failing him. Are we supposed to just stay silent? Because that doesn't feel like parenting. It feels like abandonment. Sitting on my hands in Georgia. Well, Sitting on my hands in Georgia, we have a lot to unpack in this letter. And I think it's one where a lot of parents can feel that familiar pull and push. I think this resonates with a lot of people out there. And I think, what a great way to unpack it. And so let's just sit with this in the moment. So what I really hear is you're caught between two things that both feel true at the same time. The first is, I don't want to be that parent, the one that's going into the coach's office, embarrassing my kids, making things worse, and that's probably the warnings and things that you're getting from your friends is just stay out of it. And you're trying to do the right thing. And then on the flip side, you're also sitting there watching your son lose something, whether it's his confidence, his joy, maybe the love for the game. And you're just sitting there and you're like wondering what's going on. And your instincts as a mom and as a parent are just screaming at you. So the tension, first and foremost, sitting on your hands in Georgia is real. And there is no simple answer, to this letter that you sent in. First and foremost, there's a significant achievement that happened for your son. He made varsity, but just because you made varsity as a freshman doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to get significant playing time. There's an opportunity to look at this as growth and development. And I think where we've gone wrong in society is rather than pushing through the perseverance of, I'm going to sit on the bench or I might not get enough playing time. I made varsity. I made the most elite level at my high school. But that also means there's sophomores, juniors, and seniors that are in front of me. People that have been on the team potentially up to this is their 4th year, and they've put in maybe the same amount of work you have just as you are doing now. And so a lot of what we have to teach our kids is it's not about entitlement. It's about being present in the moment and what is this teaching you right now? So what would it be teaching your son if he'd gotten and is getting a bunch of playing time? Versus what is this teaching your son that he has to work and earn his spot out on the floor in significant minutes? And some of that comes, quite honestly, with time, and this is a hard gap for a 14, 15, 16-year-old to learn is you got to put in your dues. You got to put in the work, and there's other people in front of you, and you have to trust the coach. The coach obviously saw talent in them, or they wouldn't have put them on the varsity team. If he wanted significant playing time, maybe he should have gone to the coach and said, it's such a great honor I made varsity, but I'd really love to have playing time. That's really important to me. I'm okay if this year as a freshman, I just make junior varsity and make JV. So there's a bunch of different scenarios in play that could be that you could work with, but going to just talk to the coach because he's not getting significant playing time when you don't know the entire dynamic of every other player, everything that coach is working to build, and where does your son fit into that equation? I would encourage you to really have your son look at the situation and ask himself, okay, he's doing everything right, early, late, no complaints. But is he talking to the coach? Is he asking questions? Is he understanding what his role is in the team? Because if he's not understanding that, that's the lesson for him to learn, is to go to the coach and say, hey, coach, I'm so grateful that I made varsity as a freshman. My ultimate goal is to be a leader and a player out on this team. What is it going to take for me in order to get there? A great coach is going to be able to tell him exactly where he's at, why he's getting the playing time that he is, and ultimately guide him to what he needs to work on, how he shows up in practice, understanding who's in front of him, understanding that part of being a great team member is being somebody that cheers on the bench and leads from that spot. A great leader is not one that acts entitled. A great leader is one that shows up, and it's also earned. He has to earn that spot and that right to be a leader on the team. And so the thing I would tell you is never talk to the coach exists for the reason. This is not your battle to fight. This is a battle for you to assist your kid in how he goes and clearly articulates and communicates with that coach, so the coach understands him and he understands the coach. So do not, if you want my hard and fast advice, do not go and talk to the coach. If somebody is going to go talk to their coach, it needs to be your son. And your son needs to understand that this is his responsibility. It's not your responsibility. And if he wants to develop trust with the coach, he's going to have to go ask these questions. And he also needs to trust the coach. Coaches want to set every kid up for success for the most part. I can't speak for every coach, but most want to see every kid succeed. And so he obviously saw something in your child. He put him on varsity as a freshman, but that also means just because you made varsity as a freshman doesn't mean you might be getting significant playing time. He wants you to develop. He wants you to work with the other guys on the team. And so I would just tell you to pause. I would talk to your son before you do anything, not the coach. I would ask him how he's feeling. You might be misinterpreting it wrong. I know as a mom sometimes I can certainly get defensive of my kids and what they should be doing and why aren't they out there. But my son or daughter may already know why they have limited playing time. Maybe it's the way they're showing up in practice. Maybe it's how they're practicing. Maybe they're not taking the feedback from the coach very well. You want to get inquisitive to understand what's going on, asking him questions, ensure that he's listening and learning. Is he taking it all in? If he's like, no, I think I'm great, the coach isn't saying anything, I think there's an opportunity then for you to really challenge him to go, okay, if you want something different, then you need to go sit down and talk to the coach, and we can role play and practice what that conversation might look like. But you want him to go to the coach. Hey, coach, I want to understand what I need to do to earn more time, playing time. Let your son lead that conversation. And if you have advocated for all of that and he's saying he talks to the coach and he's still coming home without clarity, I do think that there's an opportunity to go in and speak with a coach, but to be more curious than combative. Hey, coach, I know that my son came and talked to you. I want to make sure he really understands what you've asked of him. So what does development look like for him this season? Because we want to support you and him in getting to the goal. So your job right now isn't to fix the playing time. It's to make sure your son knows you see him, not the stat line, not the minutes. And so I think there's such an opportunity for us as parents to be advocates for our child through our child by teaching them what they need to do in order to set them up for success. Because at some point, they're going to have a job, they're going to have things in life where they're going to have to go talk to somebody and to work through something. And if we as parents are always stepping in, we are never going to help them out in life. And so this is one of many life lessons every child is going to go through. And you as a parent need to be an advocate for the development of your child, for empowering your child and having them go have the conversation. If they then have that conversation, don't understand, you then need to become the conduit between the two of the coach and your player athlete to then go, okay, we want to support our son and his goals and his dreams. He shared he's come talk to you. You're going to hear from the coach. They're going to tell you exactly what's going on. And you need to support that coach. And we want to make sure our son shows up the way you're asking him to, and to understand that he's hearing what you have to say to him. So this isn't about defending your child. This isn't about getting him more playing time. Ultimately, you want the long-term growth and development of your son. And there is a reason why he's going through this. And that's the lesson that we all need to learn. So for all of you watching, I would love to hear who's lived through this, what you do, what would you do differently if you could do it over. Be honest, there's no shame. We're all handling this. I have 2 student athletes. We've had lots of these moments in our household, and it's so important that the growth of the athlete is the focal point of this. So as I wrap up, before I go, one thing for the mom in Georgia, you are not failing your son by storming into the coach's office. And you are not failing him by wanting to. You are a parent who sees her son, her kid, and refuses to look away. This isn't abandonment. This is love trying to figure out what form to take. You love your son deeply. As moms and as parents, we love our kids deeply, but part of the love has to be allowing them to learn. They have to learn these lessons themselves. So how do you create that loving environment? How do you make sure today after school, when you sit down with your son, you don't even talk about it basketball? It's just about him. How was school? What's new? How are you friends? Whatever it is, we're getting close to summer. What are things you'd like to do this summer that aren't basketball related? So Stay connected, see your kid, love them, but love them so much that they get to go through the lesson and to know that mom or dad are there unequivocally on the other side, no matter what. This is Monday Morning Mom, and every Monday at 8 o'clock, we go live to read these letters, engage with you. So I can't wait to see you. Till next Monday.